Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where we get you caught up on some of the latest news and tidbits that are tied to our favorite team in the NFL, the Cleveland Browns. Thank you to everybody who has liked our previous episodes, who has subscribed to the channel. We are so close to 10,000. Phone the neighbors, wake the kids, let them know. We need like 130 some people or something like that to get to 10,000. Something like that. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's somewhere around there. It's not that many. Hopefully we get there by the end of the week, 10,000 subscribers. Also, thank you to everybody who has become a member of the Browns Latest Dog Pound and those of you who get your comments in the viewer comment section. And as I said, this week, since it's the bye week, a lot of the topics and things being fueled by our viewer comments this week. And on to the show. Now, there are a lot of people who think Kevin Stefanski's decision to stick with Dillon Gabriel is not based on football reasons. Stefanski's offense is brutal. We all know that. But there may be a reason that quarterbacks can't help but look awful when they're trying to run it. I have a brand new coaching option for us to consider when we finally come to our senses and get rid of Kevin. And then in the viewer comments, what our illustrious head coach could learn from one of the all-time greats to ever coach in college. We'll find out what that's all about as well. But as I mentioned, we're doing a lot of viewer comment-inspired topics this week. And how about Andrew Berry, first of all, canceling his typical bye-week press conference? That tells me him and Stefanski are so far away from being on the same page, it's not even funny. I think there's a ton of infighting going on at this point because of that. And also Njoku, they're lining up tight ends like they're planes on a runway. So Njoku is all but, bringing them off the practice squad, signing them tight ends to practice squad. Like there's tight ends all over the place now. So Njoku is already out the door. But I digress. How about this, though? This came up in the viewer comments. And very, very interesting. And then it came up more than once. This became like a thing yesterday. But here we go. From Anthrop Dunglehue. It's a crazy name, but it's a good take. Who says Kevin, Dillon, and Lanning all have the same agent. Seems like a conflict of interest, especially when they have an incentive clause for playing time wins and other achievements. How is that allowed? Well, let me tell you, Dunglethorpe, I did some digging. And players and coaches sharing agents, it's not a new thing in the NFL, but it's not a very popular thing. But I'm going to do you one better, Mr. Anthrop Dunglehue. How about Dan Lanning, Brent Venables, and Gus Malzahn, all of Dillon Gabriel's former head coaches in college, also used the same agent as Kevin Stefanski. So it gets even greasier. But Lanning's was at Oregon, Venables at Oklahoma, and Malzahn at UCF. Things just got greasier. Here we go. NFL coaches and players on the same team can have the same agent, although this practice is subject to scrutiny due to concerns about potential conflicts of interest and fairness in representation. There are no formal rules that prohibit it, but it does create a complex ethical issues, including perceptions of favoritism. I mean, he signed up for it. Some leagues, like the NBA, have moved to restrict such dual representation entirely, which to me seems like the right. What's the surprise? Like the NBA, like with all the gambling investigations and everything going on, they're the ones that are doing the right thing. That's ironic. But they are. They don't do the. But the NFL does monitor these package deals where one agent represents multiple influential staff and players seeking to increase transparency and curb monopoly effects. I mean, on the field, off the field, everywhere you look with this team, it's controversy every single time. What are we doing here, man? Like, that is extremely sketchy. I mean, come on. Handpicked, taken in the third round, undersized, left-handed. Like, no, there isn't anybody on the planet who thinks this guy should be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Backup? Sure. Potentially. Doesn't seem right. NFL may want to look into this. Check it out, NFL. And you can thank our viewer comments, starting with Mr. Anthrop Dunglehue, for pointing this out. But definitely is greasy, man. Definitely seems sketchy. Well, we know it's sketchy. It's worse than sketchy. It's our offense. And this was another thing that came up in the viewer comments. Somebody, and actually it was from my TikTok, for of all things. Yeah, I'm on TikTok. I don't do I might, maybe someday I'd do a dance if somebody wanted me to. I gotta learn it. That's the problem. I'm trying to learn those dances. I don't know how these kids do it, but I'm not on TikTok dancing. But God in 30 Seconds was wondering, he said, can you kindly answer a question for me? Why is it that the Cleveland Browns quarterbacks, none of them are ever audible? Are they allowed to change Kevin's plays at the line? Well, God in 30 seconds. The answer to that question is 2 letters. No. Take a look at this. So, Kevin Stefanski is known for running this structured and precision-based offense that doesn't work. And it tends to limit quarterback freedom at the line of scrimmage. That's why you've seen Watson and Flacco, now Gabriel, but Baker talked about it after he left, of course. Didn't say anything while he was here, how he was stifled. And other quarterbacks have described it as being boxed in by Stefanski's scheme, with limited opportunities to improvise or call audibles on their own initiative. So you've got structured and precise base offense, predetermined script and designed reads, and a lack of creativity and adaptability at the line. Well, that's exactly right. That's exactly what we have. We have a terrible offense. So, I mean, it describes it perfectly. And I think you could see this with Flacco. It would be great to know how many times Flacco has changed things at the line for positive yards since he's been with Cincinnati for 5 minutes. I would have to think that's a lot. But it's one of the things Baker's complained about. You know, it's just, you can't run. You just can't do it that way in the NFL these days, because you look at what happened. Look at what happened on Sunday even. Look what happens to us every game. But we'll go with Sunday since it was the most recent game. It is so predictable, that offense, because you know what's coming. Mike Vrabel outcoached Stefanski. Everybody outcoaches Stefanski. We don't adjust to anything. And this offense is telling you we don't adjust to anything. You run the play that's called. This is such an archaic, putrid way to try and score points in the NFL. It's insane. How do you not let the quarterback read a defense and then adjust to it? It's pathetic. But God in 30 seconds, there's your answer. Yeah, no, the quarterbacks are not allowed to audible in Kevin, because Stefanski's an offensive genius. You don't know that by now? God in 30 seconds? I mean, gosh, it's right there in front of you how much of a genius Kevin Stefanski is. He's our head coach. I mean, he has been for 6 years and doesn't appear like he's going anywhere because he's so good at what he does. But like, if we ever did decide to move on from Kevin Stefanski, I started thinking about this more and more yesterday, and you can hammer me in the viewer comments if you want. I don't care. I can take it. But I don't know, man. This started making more sense to me as the day went on. And I said, you know what? We're going to talk about it. Ryan Day leaving the Buckeyes if they win a second national championship this year, Ryan Day leaves the Buckeyes and comes 120 miles north to Cleveland and coaches the Browns. And you're probably like, Dave, but you're the guy that always says you don't like the college coaches to go to the pros because they never do well. And here's what I'm going to say about Ryan Day. And it's after that Joe Klatt video that I saw. And hopefully you saw the Joe Klatt video, the one that I was talking about yesterday, where he's describing how Ryan Day described, like, you can't call plays and be the head coach when you're coaching a major college program because it's so much like the pros now. You can't do both. And all the reasons Klatt talks about that Ryan Day talked about why he can't call plays and be the head coach are all the same reasons Kevin Stefanski should not be. He should have given up play calling 5 years ago. It's a great video. Hearing Ryan Day say that leads me to believe he gets it. He understands what it takes to win in the pros. This is a pro team that Ohio State puts out there on the field every Saturday. They have a pro defensive coordinator. You got Hartline, who played in the NFL, running the wide receiver at this point. Now he's running he's involved in that offense. Everything about this is about getting these guys to the pros. So this is a pro, we'll call it a pro style program. And let's start there with Ryan Day and bring him up, especially with the Browns being so young. You have so many guys who are so young. And I heard Judkins talking about it with Ocho Cinco and Sharp the other day on their podcast. Judkins saying, we're all so young. Everybody's, we're pretty tight. He even talked about, Gabriel and Shador said they're, because they're all going through this together as rookies for the first time. But let me add a little more to the case for Ryan Day, because I come with pictures. You know that. I do come with pictures. Bullet points 3. Strong offensive pedigrees, demonstrates adaptability, previous NFL experience. He's developed some high-powered offenses at Ohio State, getting quarterbacks ready. And then he's also brought the right guys in to take care of the defense. And Matt Patricia, I didn't think the defense could play any better than they did last year with Knowles, who pieced out for Penn State. How did that work out, Jimmy? But my goodness, this defense is ridiculous. It's better. This defense is better than last year's defense that won a national championship. So I think they're on the road to winning another national championship. He spent 2 years in the NFL as a quarterbacks coach with the Eagles and the 49ers. So he has a taste of NFL operations and expectations. He gets all that. At Ohio State, he's also adapted, learned from defeats, evolved his game plans, made key staff adjustments. He doesn't stick with the same thing and just keep running it out there and hoping it's going to get better like we do. If something's wrong, he fixes it. He's praised for his ability to lead. That's evidence, by the way. Look at the elite performance that Ohio State has put on. Like, that's what we always say here in Ohio. Like, you have this Buckeyes on Saturday, which we're so proud of, the Ohio State and what they do every week, every year. And then you got the Browns on Sunday. He's in his mid-40s, so he's not that old. Here's the best part. Well, he does say he's committed to Ohio State, but he has acknowledged that he would never rule out considering the NFL, citing his positive NFL experience and openness to future possibilities. if you win 2 national championships in a row, what else are you going to do in college? Like, what else are you going to do? It's time to move on. It's time to pack your bags and move 120 miles north. Find that house in Strongsville and coach the Browns. New stadium coming. This is going to be a very attractive position to have with the new stadium coming in 2029. And then how about this? Get your guy Carnell Tate up here, and then go after your guy Jeremiah Smith. Get him up here. Have them running around the field with Shedeur throwing them the ball. You'll have, like, he'll just understand that college. And do me a favor, if Schwartz doesn't want to stick around, but I would maybe make him assistant head coach or something, or leave it. And if he doesn't want to, bring Patricia with you for sure, and find something for Heartline to do. Bring them. Bring them with you, Ryan Day. I think that triumphant would be a force to be reckoned with in the NFL, because it's so weird, because it's like, as much as the college game is kind of turning into the pros, you see the pro game kind of turning into the college game. They mirror each other so much now in different ways. But the more I thought about that Joe Klatt video and what Ryan Day told him, the more I thought, this is the perfect guy. He's our guy. He's the Ohio State guy who has taken that program and turned it into what it should have been. What Urban Meyer never turned it into, what Tressel never turned it into. We are the new Alabama. We are the new Florida State of the 80s, Ohio State. Or Florida, or call it whatever you want. But Ohio State is the team to beat in college football every year now. So give me some of that Ryan Day. Bring Ryan Day to Cleveland. Let's start it. He wins the second national championship, and we've got to get him here. We got to get him here. Who knows? Maybe he'll be, even if he just gets there and loses, maybe he'll be satisfied. He'll have one. But man, oh man. See, with bye weeks, you get to think about some things. And I thought about that long and hard. I think, man, Ryan Day in Cleveland does not sound like a bad thing at all. Viewer comments aren't on a bye. I can tell you that. And this is a great take. And I'm going to leave the whole thing in here. It's from Michael Ashanti 548, who says, Dave, I am a Browns fan from the era of Ozzie Newsome and Nick Saban. This is what we teased at the top. Michael says he's a Browns fan from the era of Ozzie Newsome and Nick Saban. The obvious connection being Alabama football and the culture of excellence in leadership, accountability, and toughness on the field. There is no way on God's green earth would either of these men allow the current head coach of the Cleveland Browns to humiliate that quarterback and embarrass the team in the city with his subpar quarterback performance. Remember when Super Bowl champion and MVP Jalen Hurts didn't get the job done at Alabama? Coach Saban showed his leadership and held Jalen Hurts accountable and replaced him with Tua in the best interest of the team. I'm not sure what Kevin Stefanski is doing. It seems like there's something personal going on between the coach and 12. The coach needs to be removed. I don't think it's personal between the coach and 12. I think it's personal between the coach and Barry and or Haslam. That's where I think it's personal. And that's why I think Barry canceled his press conference this week, because he doesn't want to talk about it. Because everybody's going to ask him about it. And what's Barry going to say? He's like, well, I wanted 12 to start 3 weeks ago, but we got a coach who's so stubborn, and he has the same agent as his player, and he's got to make sure his player gets all of his incentives before he pulls them. I mean, what's he going to say? It's sketchy. The agent thing is sketchy. Very sketchy. The whole thing is sketchy. The not answering questions, everything. It is just, I'm so over it. I'm so done with this Stefanski thing. Everything points to him as the problem, but we don't remove the problem. I don't get it. What I do get is Michael Ashante 548 had a great take. That was a great take, Michael. Daryl White says you will never get better if you keep doing the same failed format. Yes, go back to the Audible thing that we just talked about. What do you like? That's what I mean. It's like literally every week we talked about this. I mean, I said it on Sunday in the instant reaction. I said, this is like, I don't know what there's nothing else to say. Like, it's the same thing over and over, week after week. It's like you're going to keep walking into a pole and then people keep going, you got to move to the side of the pole and then walk. You'll be better. And no, you just keep walking into the pole. When everybody's telling you how to just move around the pole. In this case, get Stefanski out of there and let's start fresh. But you're right, Daryl White. You are absolutely right. Aaron Larson says, Grizzer, reach out to Haslam and tell him you could do a better job than Di Podesta. We will vouch for you. Well, I could do a better job than Di Podesta because I don't think Di Podesta does anything. I think he just sits in San Diego. Like, I could do his job. I could sit in San Diego and get sun and, watch the surfers and, go over, all that. Love San Diego, by the way. San Diego's awesome. We took the boys back in the day to the zoo and the Legoland and all that stuff. Boy, it was fun. And that is the coolest flight into an airport. Might be in the States. If you got one that's better, let me know. But I love flying into San Diego because of that. Man, you fly through the buildings and land there. It's cool. And then you get to stand there when you're renting your car and like they're all flying over you. I feel like you could touch them. Really cool experience. The kids loved it when they were little. Now they're all, they still might like it. I don't know. I know they like San Diego. But yes. Now, if I did call Haslam and say, listen, I'm taking over, I would have to have my brother Jeff. He would have to, because he is really great with the draft. He knows. I don't know how he does it, but man, he could pick guys, and then he's like, told you about that guy. But he's the one who always says, hurt in college, hurt in the pros. That's where he always starts. So if you have a consistency of getting hurt in college, he will not take you because he knows you're going to end up getting hurt in the pros. And then of course the greatest talent evaluator who nobody knows, Thraso Savulu, will have to have a desk in my office as well. But I'll let him know, Aaron. I'll give him a call and let him know. Gio Davis says, I'm sorry, but the numbers out there have us at the 32nd worst wide receiver group, creating 1.2 yards of separation, which Next Gen Stats has us as awful. We have the slowest group with 13 miles per hour and the most drops in the NFL. We talked about some of this a few weeks ago, Gio, about the non-separation. And yes, it is part of what's going on. But I will say this: good quarterback play can help alleviate this. I mean, look at the Chiefs over the years and guy like. They're doing it with guys like, look at Marquise Brown. Like I can't. A good quarterback can make the receivers better. You could throw them open. You can do some things. But I'm not disregarding what you're absolutely right. I mean, I talked about this myself, Gio. It's not a good group. And the problem with it is this is who they hung their hat on. This is who we hung our head. This is it all summer long. All we heard was how great the wide receiver group is. And I kept telling you, they must really believe in what they have. That's why they're not going out and signing any of these really good receivers that were still on the beach. Well, part of the reason they couldn't sign them is because we had the Watson thing still hanging over us. We got to talk about that again. Somebody said, can we stop talking about Watson? But we can't. That's it. You can't, because everything is affected by this contract. But no, you're absolutely right, Gio. We talked about it. Curtis, MN31 says, just call Meltdown Monday Overreaction Monday. That's a new Monday show. Overreaction Monday. That's the theme of the show for now. Overreaction. We never overreact to the Browns because they're so terrible. We just melt down. So, but I like the thought. I like where you're going with that. Overreaction Monday. That's not bad. And we got to bring back my man, James Scratchko, 666, who says, remember I said he could be the devil, but he wrote back and he wanted to clear his name. He says, Dave, I'd like to clear my name. It's Ratchko, and I have no idea where the 666 came from. I'm not evil. I'm just mad about the Browns. He said, they've been my team for 66 years, and the coach is the biggest problem we have. The biggest weakness is Kevin and Gabriel. And so it's good to know that you're not the devil. I did not actually think you were the devil, but I don't know where the 666 is. I guess YouTube gave you the 666, James. But James Scratchko wanted to make sure we all knew that he is not the devil. Well, I mean, it's Halloween time, I mean, the devil could be watching the show and commenting. How do we know? But James, thank you so much for writing back in. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. We will continue to try to be as positive as we can about this team, but expect moves coming. I think the Njoku thing is on the cusp for sure. And I think this Barry thing, this is starting to percolate. People are going to start asking questions because he's never passed on a bye-week press conference the entire time he's been here. Until this year. Something's going on, folks. All right, go Browns! We'll see you next time.